Okay. Historical background of Indian Constitution and the features. Aristotle, the first political scientist in the world. He introduced empirical observation into the study of politics. Aristotle, the first political scientist in the world. Aristotle is the first political scientist in the world. He introduced empirical observations into the study of politics. Aristotle considered democracy to be the worst form of government. Aristotle is also known as father of political science. His famous book is Politics. He elaborated ideas such as ideal state. Cleisthenes is the father of democracy. It is a supreme law that determines the relationship among the citizens and its country, and also the relationship between the people and the government. It is a set of written rules that are accepted by all the people living together in a country. There are certain events in the British rule that laid down the legal framework for the organization and functioning of the government and the administration in India. These events have greatly influenced our constitution and polity. They are explained here in a chronological order under the two major headings: the Company Rule 1773 to 1858 and the Crown Rule 1858 to 1947. B.C. Rawat, Benchud Rawat is one of the famous historian categorized. B.C. Rawat was one of the famous historian categorized the Indian constitutional framework into following stages. B.C. Rawat is one of the famous historian categorized the Indian constitutional framework into following stages: 1600 to 1773 East India Company Rule, 1773 to 1858 Charter Acts, 1858 to 1909 Council Acts, and 1909 to 1935 British India Acts, 1947 India Independence Act, 1947 to 1950 Constituent Assembly. And first stage 1600 to 1773. In the 1600 to 1773 East India Company rule, arrival of the British and the establishment of the British East India Company was the outcome of the Portuguese traders Vasco da Gama in 1498, who earned enormous profits by selling their merchandise in India. Arrival of a British and arrival of the British 1600 to 1773 1700 to 1773 East India Company rule. Arrival of the British and the establishment of British East India Company was an outcome of Portuguese. Arrival of the British and establishment of East India Company was outcome of the Portuguese traders Vasco da Gama 1498, who earned enormous profits by selling their merchandise in India. This is the arrival of the British and the establishment of British East India Company was the outcome of first Portuguese traders Vasco da Gama in 1498, who earned enormous profits by selling their merchandise in India. The East India Company was formed in 1599 through the Royal Charter Queen Elizabeth I on December 31st, 1600 as a Christmas gift, authorizing it to trade into the East. Subsequently, in 1608 AD, East India Company Center in 1608 AD, East India Company Center Captain William Hawkins to the Jahangir court, or the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir, to secure the royal patronage. He succeeded in getting the royal patronage from the company to establish its factories at various places on the western coast of India. In 1670, in the western coast of India, in 1615 AD, Sir Thomas Roe was sent by the Emperor James I of England to Jahangir's court with a plea for more concessions for the company. Roe was very diplomatic and thus successfully secured a royal charter giving the company freedom to trade in the whole of the Mughal territory. In 1662 AD, when Charles II of England married a Portuguese Princess Catherine and received the island of Bombay as a dowry, in 1662 AD, Sir Charles II, Sir Thomas Roe was sent by James I. And 1662 AD, Charles II was married of England, married a Portuguese Catherine Princess, island of Bombay.
మళ్ళీ ఇండియన్ పాలిటీ చదువుతావు
వీళ్ళు
అసలు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయనా
so this ఏమొస్తుంది నెక్స్ట్ మరి polity. So B.C. Rawat, one of the famous historian, categorized the Indian constitutional framework in the following stages: AVV 1600 to 1773 is called East India Company rule. 1773 to 1858 Charter Acts. 1858 to 1910 is Council Acts. 1909 to 1935 British India Acts. 1947 India Independence Act. 1947 to 1950 Constituent Assembly. ఇది కథ. సో ఫస్ట్ స్టేజ్ 1600 to 1773 East India Company rule. Arrival of the British and the establishment of British India Company was the outcome of the Portuguese traders Vasco da Gama 1498, who earned enormous profits by selling their merchandise in India. East India Company was formed in 1599 through the Royal Charter from the Queen Elizabeth I on December 31, 1600, authorizing it to trade in the East. Subsequently, in 1608, East India Company sent Captain William Hawkins to the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir to secure the royal patronage. He succeeded in getting the royal permit for the company to establish its factories at various places on the western coast of India. 1615 AD, Sir Thomas Roe sent by Emperor James I of England to the Jahangir's court with a plea for more concession for the company. Roe was very diplomatic and thus successfully secured a royal charter giving the company freedom to trade in the whole of the Mughal territory. 1662 AD, when Charles II of England married a Portuguese Catherine and received the island of Bombay as a dowry, which he immediately gave to the East India Company in 1668 AD for £10 a year. అంటే 1662